Hello everybody, and welcome back to the garage. Did you think we were done restoring pinball machines yet? This time we have two machines, a Gottlieb Close Encounters of the Third Kind and a Williams Phoenix, both from 1978, so these are both solid state machines. And according to the previous owner, these machines have been sitting unused since the 80s, so they haven't seen power in at least 40 years. So let's go ahead and take a look at these two machines, take a good look at the internals, because I don't want to plug these in. If these things really haven't seen power in 40 years, I don't want to plug these in until I know for sure that everything checks out and that things are going to work. So let's go ahead and take a look at both of these machines and see what we can do to get them up and running once again. So here's what we have this time. Here's the Williams Phoenix. And here is the Gottlieb Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And for sitting since the late 80s, they're in pretty good condition. But you might notice on the Gottlieb machine, it has wood legs on it. This is way after the era for machines with wood legs, so these are the wrong legs. But if you remember my nightclub bingo machine, which at this point I still haven't fully fixed, but it's getting very close. This machine's got metal legs, and it's supposed to have wood legs. So I think at some point we can swap the legs from this machine and put them on the Gottlieb, because I think those legs actually came off of a bingo machine. They look just like bingo machine legs. So for now, I'm just gonna leave them on, but eventually I will get those machines' legs swapped. So let's get back on topic. We can take a look at the playfield. You can see how dusty the power cords are. So here's a closer look at the Gottlieb playfield, and right away we can notice a few things. One of the nuts on this piece of plastic here is missing. You can see it's kind of bent out of shape because that nut is gone. These little caps aren't screwed all the way in. This bumper cap is missing, but I did go ahead and take a peek inside the coin door, and it is inside the machine, along with a whole bunch of other documentation that we'll take a look at here in a minute. But really, other than that, this playfield seems to be in very good shape, just very dirty. It's also in dire need of a rubber replacement. As you can see, this one is completely broken, and the rest of the rubbers look very dirty and old. So obviously this machine's going to get a complete rubber replacement once we get it up and running. And these flippers are supposed to be white, so that gives you an idea of how dirty this machine is. The glass is also very dusty. Coin door is also pretty worn. You can kind of see it's seen better days, but it's in pretty good shape. I mean, look at the back glass. Looks basically perfect. So on this machine, I was able to get the coin door open. The lock is very hard to turn, probably because these machines have been sitting in a damp environment for a long time, but it struggles a bit to come open, but it does open. We can see signs of nature have started to take over this machine. We got some cobwebs and potentially mold, maybe. Can't quite tell, but yeah, these machines are definitely going to need some cleaning. You can see we got a lot of dirt and debris there. Oh, one thing I did want to show, speaking of nature, check that out. There's a massive spider right there. Glad that's dead. So once we get the glass off this machine, I'll be sure to vacuum that up. But look at what's inside the machine. We got a lot of stuff. There's a bunch of bulbs down here. We got paperwork. We got a bag, I assume, with parts in it. We have actual documentation and stuff in here. I have not taken any of this out of the machine, so let's go ahead and get the camera on the tripod and see what all this stuff is. So let's go ahead and start taking some of this stuff out and just see what all's here. First, let's take this bag out. What do we have in here? Oh, bulbs. Okay, cool. So we got, ooh, are these 455s? Are these the blinky bulbs? No, these are just 55s, but it looks like these are brand new bulbs, so that's nice to have. There's some more in here, and these are also 55, so I'll just stick them in here. What else we got? We got a bunch of bulbs on the bottom of this machine too, but they're just the regular bulbs. Oh, that's dusty, like this. What are these, 47s? 1847s. This one is really dark, so obviously this one was pulled from the machine, I would imagine, at some point. I don't save bulbs like this that are dark, even if they work, so that's going in the trash. Before we get to the bulbs, let's pull out some of the paperwork that's in here. So what do we got here? Got a big fold-out document. Oh, this isn't even for this machine. Look at that. Atari Cocktail Asteroids. Someone obviously put paperwork from an Asteroids arcade game into the machine here, and I would imagine that's what this is for too. Yeah, look at that. Cocktail Asteroids Operation Maintenance and Service Manual. Huh. We got 2 games in one here. Yeah, look at that. Operation Maintenance and Service Manual for Cocktail Asteroids. Didn't expect to see that in here. Electro Home Quadrascan monochrome monitor. Maybe this is the monitor that was inside of that Cocktail Asteroids. Oh, look at that. This isn't even for this machine. Still cool to have though. But I do see some Gottlieb stuff in here, so let's go ahead and pull some stuff out of here. Okay, so here's the little instruction envelope folder for this game. So now we're getting to the stuff that was actually for this game. Anti-static bag. Oh, look at what we have here. Another bag. Oh, we have a tilt plumb bob here. Either that is from this machine or it's from another one. It's from this machine because it's been removed. Look at what's in here. The warranty registration card. Since when do you see that? We have the instruction manual for this machine. And we also have the warranty card. So we have all of this inside a machine that's been sitting for a very long time. Here's another instruction card that says 5 balls per player. The one that's in here says 3 balls. So this would be the card you put in when you switch the game to a 5-ball mode. Well, now we know someone did buy bulbs, Sylvania miniature lamp bulbs, number 55. So that is what these are. So might as well just throw these in here because that's where they're from. And we also have a coin door sticker, 25 cents, 2 plays, so good to see that. And here's the bumper cap. So this is the missing bumper cap that we'll be putting back onto that bumper once we get the machine opened up. And we have a lot of light bulbs, like a lot of them. These look new, and the only reason I say that is because none of them are dark. This bag has obviously been sitting here forever because it's got a ton of dust caked on it. Everything here has a ton of dust caked on it, so it's very kind of gross to handle, but we got to get it out of the machine. So we got a bunch of light bulbs. Like, look at the amount of dust on that. It's crazy. Big strand of dust. That's a dark bulb, so that's trash. If they're not dark, I'll keep them, but any dark ones like that are getting tossed. Okay, well, those are all the bulbs in the machine, at least I think. That's all I can see. All those are bad. They're all dark, so they're all getting tossed. And these ones, if they're not burned out, I will save because they're not dark. So that's all the stuff inside this machine. We got quite a bit. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the Phoenix machine. Okay, so here's the Phoenix machine, and as you can see, this one has a bunch of documentation with it too. And I forgot to hit the record button. I pulled all this out of the machine and was talking about all of it, forgot to hit record, so that's a bummer. So, this machine, the coin door lock would not move. It had a key, but no matter how much lubricant or grease I put in there, it would not move. So I had to drill out the lock. We got the coin door open, so now I can actually get in this machine. And it came with quite a bit of documentation. So let me go over it again, now that I didn't record the first time. So this document here talks about the high score reset button on the coin door. It says this game is provided with a high score reset feature, so they wanted to let you know that that existed. We have the actual manual for the game here, but unfortunately it's missing about everything in it because it's only got the outer pages. So that's not a big deal because I know that this manual I can get off of the Internet Pinball database, so I can just print out a new one. We have the electronic components and complete assemblies, first used on World Cup, I assume that's an earlier game, and all following solid state games. And this is from June 1978. So that's that. And we have some diagrams in here and parts, prices for individual parts. So this is nice to see. More diagrams and price lists. So you can see all that is in here. So that's nice to have. We have a printed material checkoff list. So I assume this is like the packing slip that someone would have gotten when this machine was new. Either that or it was something that was used internally just so that the operator would know that all the parts are included with the machine before it gets shipped out. As you can see, all the boxes are checked. So there's that. We have the new style jet bumper assembly. We'll have to see if that's installed in this machine. And then here, this is the part that I really wanted to see. We have the schematics for the machine. So all of the documentation and schematics are here, which is fantastic. I mean, I know I can get this off of the pinball database as well, but it's really nice to see original documentation in a machine like this. So that's awesome. We have a bunch of diagrams and schematics in here, so that will come in very handy if we need to repair something. We have the catalog supplement 485, that is the model number of this machine, with new parts and assemblies first used on Phoenix. So we have a little parts catalog in here, and I guess that kind of just shows all the new parts. We've got a price list, so that's there. And then we have a whole bunch of templates for the replay values if you wanted to change those. So we still have these. We have a business reply card that you can mail in, and it says free service manual binder, receive periodic service information. Fill out this card in return for a free Williams service manual binder, limit 1 per operator, and get placed on the Williams service bulletin mailing list. So that's cool. We have an alternate instruction card for the machine. This one doesn't talk about awarding credits like the one in the machine does, so I imagine that this card would be more appropriate to put in the machine if you had it on free play, because this machine mentions, or this instruction card mentions, awarding credits along with specials and extra balls, and this one just mentions specials and extra balls. So we have some credit and extra ball score templates here. We have another business reply card. This one says, operator, please fill in card in return. So the operator would have filled this card out when they got the machine when it was brand new. So that's cool to see, an unfilled card. Now ready, Williams 1977 to 78 free parts catalog. So you can mail that in and receive that. We have even more templates here. And then these are just templates I found loose in the machine, so we have more of those. And then this, all this is the cabinet number. It was a sticker that was obviously put somewhere on the game. So this is cabinet number, looks like 346-816, but it says Canada on it. You can barely make that out, but it says it right there. And I think that this machine did indeed come from Canada because it's not in view, but on the from the coin door, there's a very faded sticker that says, "Do not use Canadian coins, please." So this machine, I would assume, originated from Canada and got exported here to the US. So that's pretty cool to see. So this is all the documentation that we received for both machines, quite a lot. And I'm glad that a lot of it is still here, especially inside machines that look as worn out and neglected as these. So I think now what we'll do is kind of start taking these machines apart, cleaning them up a little bit, and we'll just take a look and see what things look like. So let's get started doing that. So I think before I open up these machines, I'm going to give these things a little bit of a clean because these things are so filthy and it's just making my hands really dirty. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe down the glass a little bit, just give the machine a little once over lightly in some areas, and then we'll start taking a look at the inside. Okay, so that is the once over lightly done on both these machines. These things are obviously going to have to be cleaned a lot better than what I just did, but I just wanted to get the big dirt off so that my hands didn't get all dusty and grimy whenever I handled these things. So I think what we'll do first is we'll start with the Phoenix machine, because at this point I am able to get into all of the areas in this machine. This one, I'm not sure if I still have to drill the lockout on it or not, because on this one, there's a lock that secures the back glass into the back box, and I don't know if there's a key for that yet. On the Phoenix, the back glass lock is unlocked, so we'll be able to get into the back box and into the playfield. So I think we'll start with the Phoenix first. All right, first let's take a look inside the Phoenix back box. I put a little blanket on top of the glass, the playfield glass, just so we could set the back glass onto it. So let's go ahead and remove this and see what we find. There we go. Set that down right here. Okay, and it looks good back here to me. I don't see anything obviously wrong with it. We got bulbs. Doesn't look like any of them are missing. Some of them have been replaced, I can tell, because these are not original bulbs. These shorter, wider ones. So obviously some of the bulbs in here got replaced. Quite a few of them are dark. So obviously these bulbs have been in the machine for quite a long time. We have a Phoenix diagnostic switch chart. So this tells you all the switches and their corresponding number when you actually go in and test them with the diagnostic function. So that'll be handy to reference later on. We also have a diagnostic solenoid chart and a diagnostic audit chart. So I'm glad to see that those little pieces of paper are still there. So on these machines, to get behind the back box, it's just a little lock right here that pulls up and then it swings open. So let's go ahead and look back there. I'm hoping that someone had the foresight to remove the batteries from the board, because I don't want to open this and see a crazy ton of battery leakage, because that would be terrible. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what we find. Oh, we indeed have battery leakage, of course. It doesn't look very bad, fortunately. We got down to right here, but that's just an empty socket, so there's no actual chip there. We got some old Energizer batteries in there, probably from the 80s, but yeah, we're in the good here. The leakage only got down to this empty socket. It is not down to the rest of these chips here, so I think we are okay. We got to this machine at just the right time. So just taking a quick look at these boards, besides the battery leakage situation, everything looks okay. I mean, I don't see anything obviously wrong with it besides that. We have a fuse here. I can't tell if it's blown or not because of how much dust is on it. We might have a little bit of mold problems. You can see on this sheet right here, this looks like mold. It says to change game programming. Oh, this goes over the programming of the game. On these machines, you have to hit the diagnostic button, which is right here on this board. And you use these dip switches to change different settings about the game, like credit, maximum totals, replays. That's where you would adjust all of that. And so we have a sheet here. Looks like we might have more sheets. And we do. A couple more sheets under here. This machine has actually survived really well. I mean, it doesn't look the best, but everything that it could possibly have is in here, so that is awesome. One thing that I do want to do before I just go about and plug the machine in, first things first, remove the batteries. Second thing, I want to test all of the capacitors on the power supply board here, including this big one down here, because I want to make sure that those are working before I power up the machine, because if they're not working, that could mean disaster when I plug the machine in, and I don't want to destroy stuff if I don't have to. So I'm going to be taking some precautions here before we go about powering on these machines. So I think the first thing we need to do right now is get those batteries out. Well, here's one of them. You can see how much it's leaked. Energizer ever ready. See, do we have an expiration date? Ooh, this battery's split open. See that? The battery has split itself open, so this battery is long ready for the garbage. Oh, crap. Well, the battery holder just came off of the board, so obviously the contacts under there are heavily affected. Yeah, I just pulled out this battery. It took part of the battery holder with it. So I am going to have to replace the battery holder on this board. I think this is called the MPU board. So, oh yeah, that's not gonna survive. So we will have to get that replaced. Thankfully, it's not crucial to gameplay. I can still power it on without those batteries. All those do is just save game settings and high scores. So it is completely okay to power up this game without those batteries. You know what I'm gonna do? That battery does not want to come out. I'm just gonna make this process real easy. We're just gonna cut it off. Cut the entire battery holder off because it needs to get replaced. And there we go. Get the hazardous part out of the way. So there's that. This battery does not want to budge. And you can see it took part of the battery holder with it. So this is garbage. It has long succumbed to battery leakage. So we got the bad parts out. I'm probably going to cut out the rest of these terminals as well. And we're just going to replace that battery holder with a new one. And I don't have any of those things that you can convert these to use CR2032s. I'm just going to put in another triple AA battery holder into this game for now. Maybe in the future I'll convert it to a clock battery, but for now I'm just going to do that. So obviously I'm going to have to remove this board, get all of these out, all of these legs from it. We'll desolder those, and then we'll put in a new battery holder. So there's the first thing that we already have to do with this game. All right, so that mess has been removed. So once I remove this board, which will require me removing this one, because as you can see, we have an interconnect right here between the two boards, and this board is on top of this one. So I'll eventually have to remove this board, clean up all the corrosion from the battery leakage, make sure that all the traces are okay, and we'll do trace repair if we need to, solder in a new battery holder, and then all should be well. And as you can see in here, we also have some other papers that relate to the diagnostic tests, changing settings on the game. We have switch charts back here. I don't know if those are visible, but those are both still there. So this game, even though it looks like it's been neglected, because it has been neglected, it's been sitting for 40 years, all this stuff has survived pretty well. Now that I'm looking at this power supply board a little bit more, we do have 2 missing fuses right here, and those could either be not used in this game or they're actually missing. I'll have to look at the manual to see if they're actually missing or not. So we got a few potential problems back here already. So I'm glad I opened this up first. Okay, now that we've taken a look inside the back box of the Phoenix, let's go ahead and take off the glass, open up the playfield, and see what we're up against. First we have to remove the, oh, that's got a lot of dust on it. The little release for the lockdown bar is caked in either mold or just dirt, so that'll have to be cleaned up. Let's see how dirty the glass is underneath this bar. Oh yeah, pretty dirty under there. All right, so here's our first look at the playfield with the glass off, and it doesn't look too bad. It's just dirty because obviously this thing's been sitting for 4 years. Of course it's going to be dirty. So what I'll have to end up doing is remove all the plastics off this playfield, clean each one of them up, see if there's anything that needs to be replaced. Well, the rubbers have to be replaced, obviously. I'm gonna have to remove all the plastics, clean them up, and just clean up this playfield, make it look a lot nicer because it is caked in dirt. Here's a little better angle of the playfield. So it doesn't look that bad to me. I mean, there's nothing seriously wrong with it that I can see. The drop targets are all down, so I can't push those back to see if they need grease or anything. Let's see how the spinner is. The spinner operates nicely. Squeaks a little, but that still operates real nice. Might need a little bit of grease. Yeah, looks like I might need that. What's good about this machine is I don't see any broken plastics in it. There's a couple like this one and this one that have a little bit of a warp in them, but other than that, it looks very good besides it just being really dirty. So I think the playfield in this machine is in pretty good shape. It's got some cracking in the paint because obviously this thing is from 1978, so you would expect that at this point. But it looks pretty good to me. Actually, I take that back. This plastic right here is broken where the screw is. See how it's kind of coming off like that? So I might need to replace all of these. If I'm replacing one, then I might as well replace all of them, but that's not until much later. I want to get these things to actually work first. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the playfield and let's take a look at the inside. There we go. Well, let's take a look. Ooh, there goes the ball. It doesn't look too bad in here, actually. Looks like we have the part of the lock that we drilled out from the coin door, so that's obviously garbage. So I'll give you a better look at what's going on down here. So, other than being dirty, there's a couple random things in here, like this metal rod. This almost reminds me of something that would go on a spinner, but I don't know if that's what that's for. There's like this rubber, oh no, this is metal round piece, little piece of rubber. Don't know what those are from, but other than that, this machine looks normal down here. I don't see anything that looks like it needs immediate attention. I'm obviously going to test these capacitors before I power the machine on, just to make sure they're doing okay. Got a fuse there, doesn't look like it's blown. I believe this is the knocker coil for the credits, so when you insert a credit, oh boy, that's stuck. That is a stuck coil. Oh, there we go, I got it free. It was stuck on this little rubber gasket down here that's almost hardened because it's so old, but there we go. I got the coil free, so when you insert a credit, that will knock up against this metal, so that's freed up. Right here we have our standard plumb bob tilt, but we also have a tilt controlled by a ball. So say for example, if someone lifted this machine up from the front, this ball would roll back and then it would hit this switch right here in the back, and that will tilt the machine as well. So that's what that is. We have our service outlet right here in case you want to plug in a tool while you have the machine open. This rod right here is to control the system volume. So that's what that is. Down there we have the system speaker. And then underneath the playfield right here, this looks really good. I mean, I do not see anything wrong with this at all. That all looks good. Let's see if these coils are free. Yes, they are. They might need some grease, but they are free. These are the flipper coils, these two. So those will probably work fine. We have some coils here. I imagine these are for the drop targets. No, those are the slingshot coils. Yep, those are free as well. So I don't think we're gonna have too many coil problems in this game. But if we do, we'll find out. These are for the drop targets. These are the drop target resets. So when this coil goes in, it'll reset the drop targets. Like you see how these are down. If I push it, now they'll be up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to all the drop target coils. And there we go. Now we can see the drop targets for the first time. Quite dirty, but they're not worn down. Let's go look at the other ones. Well, the ones on this side look a little bit faded, including this one. Oops. So maybe I will get a set of replacement stickers for these drop targets because I don't want them to look faded like that. So that'll be for later. But it looks pretty good under here. I don't see anything immediately wrong with it. So that's good. Don't really have to service anything in the playfield yet. So I think now that we've seen the inside of this one, let's turn our attention over to the Gottlieb machine. So on this machine, I can't get into the back box yet because the lock that holds the front door assembly is locked. So I can't get in there yet. I'm hoping there's a key somewhere inside the playfield that I can use to unlock that. So first we're going to open up the playfield and we'll see what it looks like on the inside, and we'll see if we can find ourselves a key. So this one's got a release for the lockdown bar right there. Let's pull this off. Wow, that's dirty. That's been on there for many, many years. You can see the level of dirt that's on the foam here. This foam actually still feels quite soft. So maybe I can get away with just cleaning it up and not replacing it. I don't know. Yeah, that does not want to come out. Okay, there we go. Wow, that sounds terrible. That's how you know this thing hasn't been messed with in years. There we go. Okay, so we got the glass off. First thing I'm gonna do is take this broken rubber. Wow, that's hardened. It's just cracking when I try to bend it. This rubber has gotten so hard. I'm gonna take this out of the equation because I don't want to have to deal with that. I think one thing we can do right now is put this bumper cap back on since the machine's now open. So just put this back on. It's not broken or anything, so I don't know why it was removed unless someone was trying to change the bulb. So put this back on. There we go. So looking at the playfield, this one I can see some things that we need to address. This plastic right here is broken. It's got tape around it, so obviously there's a break under here. Both of these plastics are broken on the top. This one isn't even screwed in all the way, and neither is this one. We're missing a nut on the top of this plastic here. Wow, that is warped really bad. That warp might lessen if I unscrew this nut right here. And it looks like some of these nuts aren't even screwed in all the way. So I would assume this machine has been tampered with. But it's not that big of a deal. It's not like we have missing plastics or a super worn playfield. Everything looks okay, just very dirty, and it's full of cobwebs. There's a big cobweb there. There's that spider that I have to vacuum up. More cobwebs down here. So this thing has absolutely been sitting for a very long time. And I think before I even open the playfield on this one, I'm going to vacuum up all those cobwebs, get that spider out of here, just so none of that stuff goes anywhere. So I'm going to get that done, and then we'll go ahead and open up the playfield. Okay, so the bottom of this cabinet is a lot dirtier than the other one, but I don't see anything particularly wrong with it, which is great. So here's the inside of the Close Encounters of the Third Kind machine. You can see it's a lot dirtier down there, but the playfield part looks good. One thing I did notice when I opened it up, this is a tilt switch right here. Look how far that it's out of adjustment. So we're gonna have to fix that because it should be hitting this part of the switch right here. So that will have to be adjusted. Coils look okay. See if they're free. Yep, that one is free. That one's free, but it needs grease. See how it doesn't want to come all the way back? And I think these two are the flipper coils, so looks like that one's gonna need some grease. And if you're wondering what this is a big motor assembly. This will turn at certain points throughout the game so that you can hit all of these targets that are on it. So at some point we'll have to see if all of those targets work, but that won't happen until the machine is plugged in and ready to go. So this machine has its speaker closer to the front, as you can see. And this machine is a Gottlieb System 1. This is their very first solid-state pinball machine system, and it's a lot simpler than the one on the Phoenix. So you can see there's not really much going on down here, and I've looked at pictures of the inside of the back box, and there's not a ton going on back there either. So this machine will probably be easier to test and get fired up. You can see on this side we have that spot where the plumb bob tilt is supposed to go. And then we also have a ball tilt like on the Phoenix. So that's what that is. So I don't see a key in here. That's kind of what I was hoping to see under here. And it looks like that there's a screw here for a key to sit on, because I've seen in some machines there'll be a key kind of mounted to a screw like that. So we have no key, so that means we're gonna have to drill out the lock that keeps the back box locked. So that'll be something that we do here in a little bit. Down here we have some fuses. Let's see what those look like. Is this one good? Yeah, I thought that looked like it was blown. Certainly is. So this is a 1/4 amp, 250 volt fuse. And that is correct according to this little sheet here. So that one, it looks like it's the only one that's blown. The other ones look okay. So that's good. I'll pull them out and check them, but just from looking at them from my point of view, they look okay. So we're gonna have to replace this fuse. Here's another one. Primary 5 amp slow blow fuse. That one looks okay. I'm gonna pull it out and look at it to be sure. And I did see another fuse right there. 1/2 amp slow blow fuse. That one looks good. So looks like we just have one fuse that we need to replace. So that could mean that there are potential problems in this machine if a fuse did blow. And I just see now there's another one way down there. And it looks okay as well. So that's good. So hopefully that doesn't mean we have problems with this machine that it's causing it to blow a fuse, because there's obviously a reason why the fuse blew. So something in this machine could have problems, but that'll be something that we find out later on. So we got these machines open. We looked at them on the inside. They're okay for the most part. So now what I think I'll do is I'll give these machines a little bit of a cleanup on the inside of the cabinet, just vacuum up all the dirt and debris out, especially in this one. Give the play fields a little bit of a vacuuming, and then we will decide which machine we're going to restore first. Well, I vacuumed up the inside of the Gottlieb machine a little bit, and it looks marginally better. But I did see a few things as I was vacuuming that needed to be addressed. So what I did is I replaced the fuse here with a 1/2 amp fuse. I couldn't find a 1/4 amp, so I just put in a 1/2 amp in that one, so that should be fine. This fuse for the playboard lamps, the one that was in there was a 5 amp, and that's not good. You can't do that because it's a 10 amp fuse. You can't put in a fuse that has less amperage into a socket that says put a 10 amp fuse in. So I put a 10 amp fuse in there, and all the rest of those were good. The one back here is supposed to be a 2 amp, and it had a 3 amp in it. That's okay, but I wanted to get the correct amperage fuse in that one. And it looks like all the fuses besides the one that blew are good, but down here I did see something. This coil, I think right here is the knocker coil, and someone cut a wire here, and I can see that it went right here. So someone must have wanted to disable the knocker coil. But if I take a look at the coil, it looks like it's stuck. It doesn't look like it's in its resting position. It looks like it might be stuck in its energized position, because I think that part of the coil should be resting down here on this gasket. So this coil, I think, is stuck. So I'll have to free that one. I didn't see anything else right off the bat, but the machine is now cleaner. So I'll go ahead and vacuum up the Phoenix, and then I'll decide on what machine I want to take on first. Well, we were able to get the lock drilled out and removed of the Gottlieb machine. So now we can open this up, and we can take a look behind the back glass. As you can see, everything looks pretty good. A lot of the bulbs are dark, so they'll have to be replaced. Back side of the back glass looks pretty good. A little bit of this blue tint has come off of a couple of the displays, but that's not too big of a deal. If we open this panel up, we can see the inside of the back box. You can see there's the metal shavings from where we drilled out the lock. I haven't cleaned that up yet. Here's the little rod assembly that the lock was on. It keeps the back glass locked in 2 places. As you can see, there's not really a ton going on back here. I assume this is the power supply, and I will be testing these capacitors to make sure they're okay. Got another little board over here with some FETs and some other little chips there. Looks like a pretty simple board. And then we have this. This is the main board. And everything looks good back here. Just dirty. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with anything back here, so that's great. Back box on this machine looks nice. Well, I made my decision on which machine that we're going to restore first. I wanted to start with the Phoenix because it seemed like there was less wrong with it, and I think after I replace the battery holder, we can do some testing and checking, and I think I can get it going pretty quickly. So the next pinball restoration series on this channel will be for the Williams Phoenix. So look forward to that, and I will see you in my next video.